Welcome back, my dear students. Today we'll explore the amazing anatomy of human ear and the physiology of hearing. Step by step we'll see how the outer, middle and inner ear work together to collect sound, amplify it and convert vibrations into nerve signals. We will also learn how the delicate hair cells in the cochlea help us detect pitch and loudness, and how these signals travel to the brain to create the sensation of sound. By the end, you will understand how this remarkable organ not only allows us to hear every whisper and melody, but also helps us maintain balance in our daily lives. This diagram shows how the human ear is divided into three parts: the outer, middle and inner ear. The outer ear collects sound, the middle ear bones amplify it, and the inner ear or cochlea converts it into the electrical signals for hearing. At the same time, the semicircular canal, utricle and saccule help us maintain in our body balance. The outer ear, this is the outer ear, which includes pinna or auricle, the visible part of the ear, drawn in red in the diagram here. Ear canal or auditory canal, or it is also known as external acoustic meters. It's a tube leading inward from the pinna to the eardrum. Ceruminous gland, shown in the blue in the auditory canal, they secrete earwax or cerumen which traps dust and insects. Eardrum is the tympanic membrane, shown as a barrier at the end of the ear canal. This is the tympanic membrane. This is the tympanic membrane. It vibrates with sound. Middle ear includes ossicles, bony ossicles, tiny bones like malleus, which is a hammer shaped, incus, which is also known as anvil, and stapes, which is also known as stirrup. They drawn separately at the bottom left in black. These bones, this is the malleus, incus and stapes. This is stapes, this is incus and this is malleus. These bones pass vibration from the eardrum to the inner ear. Eustachian tube, it connects ear to the throat, helps maintain ear pressure. Inner ear includes cochlea, that is a snail shaped spiral, green and blue. It is responsible for hearing. It has endolymph fluid inside and contains the cochlear duct. Oval window is there. It is the entry point where stapes pushes vibration into the cochlea. Vestibule is the central part. It connects cochlea and semicircular canal. Semicircular canals have three loops: superior, posterior and lateral, shown in green here. They help in dynamic equilibrium, balance during movement. Utricle and saccule, they shown near the vestibule, responsible for static equilibrium, balance at rest. So the vestibular nerve, they carry sound and balance information to the brain. It has two parts: cochlear nerve for hearing and vestibular nerve for balance. Fluids and structures: endolymph fluid, they are shown in blue inside the semicircular canal and cochlea. Perilymph, they are also leveled near the inner ear. And ampulla, that is the swollen ends of the canals, contains sensory structure for balance. Macula, this is the sensory region for static equilibrium. Capula, in canal, it contains hair cells for detecting the movement. Hair cell diagram bottom here, a zoomed sketch, a hair cell, a stereocilia, a tiny hairy like projections at the top, hair cell in the middle, and neuron terminal at the bottom. It has colored as red, connecting to the nerves. These cells are the sensory receptor for sound and balance. The human ear is an externally extraordinary organ with unique abilities. It can convert vibrations as tiny 0.3 nanometers into electrical signal, and it responds about 1000 times faster than the eye's photoreceptors. Besides hearing, it also houses receptors for balance and equilibrium. Sound itself is characterized by two main properties: pitch and intensity. The ear can detect a wide range of pitches from 20 to 20,000 Hz, with most speech falling between 100 and 3000 Hz. Loudness is measured in decibel, where the threshold of hearing is about 0 decibel, and at 1000 Hz normal conversation is around 60 decibel, and sounds above 140 decibel reach the pain threshold. The ear is divided into three main parts like the external ear, middle ear and the internal ear. The external ear includes the auricle or pinna made up of elastic cartilage with a rim called the helix and a lower soft part called the lobule. Sound waves entering through the external auditory canal, a tube about 2.5 centimeter long which carries sound to the eardrum. The canal has hairs and ceruminous gland that produce earwax or cerumen to trap dust, water and insects. At the end of the canal, there lies the tympanic membrane or eardrum, a thin elastic structure that vibrates with sound wave. If it torn, it is called perforated eardrum and it can be examined using an otoscope. The middle ear is an air-filled cavity within the temporal bone. It is basically bordered by the eardrum on the outside and the oval and round windows on the inside. Inside the cavity there are three tiny bones called the auditory ossicles, which are the smallest bones in the body. The malleus or hammer shaped, it is attached to the eardrum. The incus or anvil, the middle bone, and the stapes or stirrup whose footplate fits into the oval window. Two small muscles protect the ear from loud sounds like tensor tympani muscle controlled by the trigeminal nerve or cranial nerve 5, which tightens the eardrum, and the stapedius muscles controlled by the facial nerve, that is cranial nerve 7, which dampens the stapes. If the stapedius is paralyzed, the person may develop hyperacusis, increased sensitivity to sound. The middle ear also connects to the nasopharynx by the auditory or eustachian tube, which equalizes air pressure across the eardrum during swallowing or yawning. However, this tube can also act as a pathway for infection leading to otis media, that is middle ear infection. The inner ear, also called as the labyrinth, has two parts: the bony labyrinth filled with perilymph and the membranous labyrinth filled with endolymph. The bony labyrinth has three main divisions: the vestibule, the semicircular canal and the cochlea. The vestibule contains the utricle and saccule, which detect linear acceleration and help maintain balance. The semicircular canal, each with a enlarged region called the ampulla, detect rotational movement of the head. So the cochlea, which looks like a snail shell with about 3 turns, is the organ of hearing. Inside the cochlea there are 3 chambers: the scala vestibuli connected to the oval window, the scala tympani which is connected with the perilymph and connected to the round window, and the cochlear duct or scala media which contain endolymph. These chambers are separated by vestibular membrane above the basilar membrane below. On the basilar membrane there lies the organ of Corti or spinal organ, which contains about 60,000 hair cells. A single row of inner hair cells provide 90 to 95% of sensory input to the cochlear nerve, while 3 rows of outer hair cells act to amplify vibrations. The stereocilia of these hair cells are embedded in the tectorial membrane, allowing sound vibration to be converted into nerve signals. This image is a detailed anatomical diagram of the human ear showing the outer ear, middle ear and inner ear. This diagram shows how the ear works as a sound system. The outer ear collects sound, the middle ear bones amplify it, and the inner ear, that is cochlea or nerves, convert it into electrical signals that the brain can understand. The semicircular canal here and the vestibular branch also help us to keep our balance. This image is a diagram of auditory pathway, the route by which sound signals travel from the ear to the brain for perception. At the bottom, the cochlea is shown in the diagram, which detects sound vibration. So from the cochlea, the signals are carried by the auditory nerve to the cochlear nerve. And there is 2 branches, dorsal and ventral, in the brainstem. From here, the fibers project to the superior olivary complex, which help in sound localization, detecting the direction of sound. The pathway then continues upward through the lateral lemniscus a tract carrying auditory signals. Signals reach the inferior colliculus in the midbrain, an important relay center for auditory reflexes. Next, the travel to the medial geniculate nucleus of the thalamus, which acts as a processing and relay station. Finally, the signals reach the auditory cortex in the brain, where sound is consciously perceived and interpreted. Physiology or mechanism of hearing. Sound waves. Here, the sound enters through the auricle and auditory canal, making the eardrum vibrate. So vibrations pass to the ossicles like malleus, incus and stapes, which amplify them, so the oval window vibrates about 20x more than the eardrum. Fluid waves in the cochlea. The stapes pushes the oval window, creating pressure waves in the perilimb or scala vestibuli to scala tympani to round window. This displaces the vestibular membrane, sets endolimb in motion and makes the basilar membrane vibrate, bending hair cells in the organ of Corti. Hair cell response: bending stereocilia towards taller ones, depolarization, neurotransmitter release and more nerve impulses. Bending the opposite way, hyperpolarization, fewer impulses, the basilar membrane detects pitch, and loudness depends on vibration strength and number of hair cells activated. So what is the auditory pathway? Signals travel from hair cells, then spiral ganglia to the cochlear nerve, that is cranial nerve 8, cochlear nuclei or medulla. Fibers then project to the superior olivary nucleus or pons for sound localization, the inferior colliculus or midbrain, the medial geniculate nucleus or thalamus, and finally the primary auditory cortex or temporal lobe. Both cortices receive input from both the ears. This is a diagram showing the pathway of sound through the human ear from the outer ear to the inner ear, explaining how vibrations are converted into signals for hearing. Step by step description. External auditory canal. Sound waves enter the ear through the external auditory canal, tympanic membrane or eardrum. The sound waves make the eardrum vibrate. Ossicles like malleus, incus and stapes. The vibrations are passed to three bones in the middle ear. That is the malleus, incus and stapes earlier we have mentioned. These bones amplify the sound. Malleus is also known as hammer bone. Incus is also known as anvil bone, and stapes is known as stirrup bone. The oval window, the stapes pushes against the oval window, sending vibrations into the inner ear fluid perilimb. Then scala vestibuli, that is the upper chamber of cochlea, vibrations travel through the scala vestibuli, which is filled up with perilimb fluid. Basilar membrane movement, vibrations move the basilar membrane at specific locations depending on sound frequency, high pitch or bass, and low frequency or apex. Spinal organ or organ of Corti, the movement bends hair cells or sensory receptors against the tectorial membrane. This converts mechanical energy into the nerve impulses. Scala tympani or lower chamber of the cochlea, vibrations continue through the scala tympani. Round window, vibrations exit through the round window, relieving pressure inside the cochlea. This diagram explains how sound waves travel. Outer ear or collect sound, middle ear amplifies vibration, and inner ear cochlea changes vibrations into nerve signals. They transmit it into the brain for proper hearing. So in today's class we discovered how the ear, a finely tuned sound system, helps us hear and stay balanced, from the auricle collecting sound to the ossicles amplifying vibrations and the cochlea converting them into the nerve signal. Every part works in perfect coordination. We also saw how the brain interprets speech, loudness and direction, turning simple vibrations into mechanical sound. Remember, every conversation you enjoy, every melody you listen to, and every step you take with balance is possible because of this wonderful organ ear. So the ear is not just for hearing but for connecting, communicating and living in a harmony with the world around us. Thank you.